Today, I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the sanctity of human life, and especially abortion. And abortion has become just a real big hot topic in our day. It's become, it really has become something that you have to decide where you stand on, whether you're for it or against it. And whole party platforms are now being decided based on this one issue. And so our hope today is to get you to think about where you stand on this and what does the Bible say about it? What's God's perspective? And especially for us as believers, what is the biblical perspective? But then not just what is it, but how can we get involved in our community and see changes made for the good, for the flourishing of humanity in our community? Because we know that flourishing starts with a recognition that life is sacred, that life is important, and that we want to be for it, not against it. We don't want to be those that cheapen or devalue a human life. We want to be those that recognize it for what it is, a person made in the image of God. And so here today with us, we have a special guest, Melissa Clement. She's the executive director of Nevada Right to Life, and she combines a lifetime of a passion for politics and a deeply imbued need to stand for the most vulnerable among us. And Melissa fights for the preborn and the elderly in the Nevada legislature, in school boards, and in the community. And you've got an extensive experience in grassroots organizing, coalition building, public policy, legislative and electoral strategy, and lobbying. And you're also on the board, or representing our state, Nevada, on the board of directors of the National Right to Life Committee. And so you have a lot of experience in this area of abortion.
Absolutely. I don't know that I wish that I had a lot of experience, right. but God has put me in this place at this time, I guess.
Yeah. That's right. He's raised you up and he's got his hand on your life.
Yeah.
And I'm just, from my perspective, I just want to say that, Melissa, as long as I've known you, it's been a blessing to know you. You've really given me courage just by how strong and courageous you are, and the way that you are standing for the truth in our day and fighting for the unborn as well as the elderly. It's very inspiring. And I just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to thank you for how you open up the church all the time. And you have some of the best advocates in your church. And I love coming here. It feels like a second home.
Amen. I second that too. I am a proud pastor of some very great people that just love the Lord, and they are passionate about biblical principles and biblical values as well. And I'm just so thankful to be able to be here. So with that being said, we're talking today about something that's happening here in our state. And it has to do with well, why don't I back up first? Let's talk about the existing laws here in Nevada first. What can you tell us about the existing Nevada law as it regards to abortion?
Well, in Nevada, it's one of the most permissive states in the union. Quite honestly, there are maybe 5 countries in the whole world that have more permissive laws than Nevada. So a woman can get an abortion up to 6 months for any reason or no reason. The only requirement is it must be done by a doctor.
Okay.
And that's to obviously protect the safety and health of the woman.
Right.
Unfortunately, not a lot of protection for the baby.
Yeah.
But after 6 months, it must be done in a hospital. And it must be done by a doctor. And that, quite honestly, is to protect the baby. If there's a baby born alive in Nevada from an abortion, there is a requirement that a doctor must give life-saving treatment.
Okay.
So that's like one of the good things about our law.
Yeah. And do you have to be a Nevada resident to get an abortion here in Nevada, or can you come from anywhere?
Anywhere.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're already opened up to anybody that wants to come to Nevada and have that performed.
Yeah.
And then there is another abortion law that has that's in place, but it's not really being enforced, right?
Correct.
Tell us about this law.
Well, unfortunately, at this point in time, a girl as young as 12 or 13, 14 can get an abortion without a parent knowing or consenting.
Okay.
Now, that is exactly the opposite of what's in law in Nevada, because in law, there is a one-parent notification with a judicial bypass.
Okay.
It's in law. It's been in law since 1985. But as soon as it was put in place, and by the way, passed by both parties, complete bipartisan support on this.
Yeah.
The moment it was passed, Planned Parenthood sued the state of Nevada, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals put an injunction on that law back in 1985. We have been working to get that removed. In fact, I know that a lot of people who've ever heard me speak, they've been involved because this is my big burning issue. Nevada Right to Life is now seeking to have that injunction removed. And we're very positive that it will happen in the next year, because when Dobbs fell or brought Roe v. Wade down, Roe v. Wade was what that law was based on.
Okay.
And so hopefully we are praying that little girls in Nevada and from outside of Nevada can finally be protected.
Yes. And this is something that you guys have been working on ever since I've known you. And that was about 4 years ago when I met you, I think. And you've been working to overturn that injunction. Tell us about what we need to do to overturn that injunction. Don't we need to get some signatures gathered and put it on the legislature? That was
the path we were taking.
Okay.
4 years ago and then 2 years ago.
Okay.
After Dobbs came down, it eliminated Roe entirely.
Okay.
And so we've always felt that we could remove the injunction judicially. But after Roe fell, we know for sure. Yeah. And so right now we are in district court.
Okay.
We have a couple of brave district attorneys who care about young girls.
Yes.
Most specifically, the Lyon County DA and the Carson City DA.
Okay.
And they have taken, they've requested that the district court remove that injunction, and then the law will operate. Great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's be praying for that, folks. Let's try to remember to lift that case up and in our prayers that God would work and move in our favor there. Because you're right. They have no legal standing now that Roe versus Wade has been overturned.
Right.
So that's awesome. And then tell us a little bit. So I heard about a ruling by a Las Vegas judge that says that Nevada Medicaid now has to pay for abortions. Is that correct? That is. And this we'll put this in the file of, gee, I hate when I'm right, because I know a lot of your congregants, a lot of people have heard me speak over the years about equal rights amendment. It's just a really bad idea, whether it's from a federal level or a state level, because if we are saying that there's equality between sexes, then there are some judges who will come out and say, well, if Pastor Phil can get a vasectomy and it's paid for by Medicaid, then Melissa Clement should be able to get an abortion, and it must be paid on Medicaid. Right, I see what you're saying. And so we have fought this for 15 years in the legislature, and a couple years back, several legislators, unfortunately some Republicans and some Democrats, mostly Democrats, pushed an equal rights amendment that protected sex in our Constitution, and it just passed last election cycle. Oh wow! And so now our Constitution is amended, and a court in Las Vegas came out with that ruling, just like we thought they would. Right. Even though legislators, the attorneys for the legislature, they all said this will have no effect on abortion because abortion is not in this wording. Right, but then of course they come out and they force Medicare to pay for abortions in the state of Nevada. So they basically just fulfilled exactly what you thought was going to happen. Yeah, and that only makes logical sense. They're gonna use the full force of the law to their advantage to promote their ideologies, and it's sad. Now, let me ask you this: so why it's already a law in Nevada that abortion is legal up to 6 months of age? Why are they pushing now? For more. So now what we see them doing is that they have these reproductive freedom amendment that they're trying to get passed. Correct. Why would they be doing this? Well, if it's you and I thinking about it, it doesn't make any sense. Right. But if you're thinking about the other people who make money off of abortions, and the further along in a woman's pregnancy that you do an abortion, the more expensive it gets. Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
But the bigger overarching
Mm-hmm.
issue is that Democrats are facing an economy in ruin, education that is bad, crime, all that kind of stuff. The only thing they feel that they can talk about is abortion.
Yeah.
And so even if you're in a super pro-abortion state like Nevada or California, they're still going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're still going to use the kinds of arguments that they use in Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, where they actually protect the preborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Would it be safe to say too that I think they were rattled when Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States, and they realized, okay, we need to get actively involved in the state level now,
right?
Getting these rights enshrined in the state constitutions wherever we can. And I think that's another force that's really
absolutely
that they're really working towards as well. So they're not only trying to divert from the failed policies of the current administration and these progressive liberal policies, I'll call them.
Yes.
So they're trying to divert away from the failures of those, and they're grabbing onto something that they feel like has traction in the hearts of the people. Because, your average person doesn't really think about this all the time, but it sounds really good to the average person. Oh, we should all have freedom. We should have, a woman's right to choose. That all sounds good.
Right.
But they fail to factor in, of course, the life of the innocent child.
Correct.
Being killed,
right.
And so if you're not thinking about it that way, it's very easy to jump on the leftist agenda. But when you hear the facts and you hear the truth, people get uncomfortable. There's this, the conscience kicks in, and they realize, hey, this doesn't sound as good as I thought. But they are using the how should I say it, the momentum that they have to push across as much as they can right now.
Well, absolutely. And you make such a good point, because when people actually sit and think about what we're talking about, an abortion is the willful destruction of an innocent preborn baby who would live otherwise.
Yeah.
It's not a miscarriage. It's not anything like that. It's not an ectopic pregnancy. It's the willful destruction of a child.
Right.
And when that clicks in their mind, suddenly they want to do something about that. And so the left is out there pushing to get this into state constitutions so that we as the public can never change it unless millions and millions of dollars in 5 years. It is the greatest assault on life, but it's also an assault on democracy.
Yeah. You've been listening to part 1 of a 2-part series about abortion in the state of Nevada. We hope that you'll tune in for the next part of the series.